Hi friends, Andrew Carruthers here, Education Director for Samvia. Today we want to dig in deep with you on the technique of wrap drying. You can call it flat wrapping, volume wrapping, partially depends on how you move the hair, and we'll talk about that. We've covered this in other videos, but this is going to get a little bit more in depth on some of the questions that we've been getting from those videos. This is our Samvia Lydia mannequin head made for us by our friends at Pivot Point. She's going to be our model today. We prepped the hair already with Redken's One United. 25 different benefits in this spray. It's a really great leave-in conditioner when you're not looking for a lot of weight. And then we also used the Pillow-Proof Express Treatment Primer. Now this is going to do a couple things for us. It's going to act as a heat protectant, but it's also going to help to speed up the blow dry time. And mannequin head hair always has just a touch of frizziness on the end, so it's going to help with that as well. Now, brush selection is very important when it comes to the finish when we're working with a flat wrap. So traditionally, we think of flat wraps happening with a paddle brush, and this is the Signature Series paddle brush. Very traditional style of paddle brush with the rubber base and the nylon bristles. It's got a nice squish to it. This is going to give us a looser tension, but the more that we press the brush into the head, the more tension we're going to get. Now, the other option is to go to the Artist Series polishing paddle, and you'll notice there's actually boar hair bristle inside between the nylon bristles, and we spend a lot of time on the pad itself. You can see that it's a red colored pad in there, and that gives us a really nice tension on the head. So if you have more aggressive textures, you're going to go Artist Series paddle. If you have a finer hair texture, you might want to stick with the Signature Series so you don't go crazy with the tension. When you're flat wrapping, one of the first things you want to think about is, where do I need the most work in the blow dry? So a lot of times if we have a fringe, or bangs, whichever you like to call them, that might be the first place you want to start. And in some cases with a fringe, you may even want to skip the brush and use a comb, because this can even get more tension. We have some videos on using a comb for wrap drying in the fringe. So we're going to imagine that she does not have a fringe, that we're not doing that. So if you think about the next place that we tend to have a lot of growth patterns, where is it at? Yeah, here in the crown. So this would be a great place to start with your wrap drying, because you need more control there. And you have more control over the hair while it's still really damp. Remember, as the hair dries, those bonds are forming, and we're going to lose that ability to control the hair. So start with damp hair. First thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the hair in a diagonal movement. And it doesn't really matter which way you go at first. So we'll just go diagonally towards us first. Then watch the brush. The brush is going to go parallel with the grain of the hair. It's going to open, grab with the teeth, and then close against the head. So what that does for us is it grabs a section and it pulls it down clean and allows us to access the inside of the hair. So as we work, it's always grain, open, teeth, close. And you can see she moved a little bit because I'm putting some pressure onto the head. That squishiness inside of a paddle brush is so that the bristles kind of grab into the hair. So if you're too gentle, if you're too soft, you're going to miss the ability to get tension with the brush. So here's how this looks. Now, you don't always have to move your body to get that nozzle parallel. Watch. You can actually grab the nozzle and turn it, and that allows my elbow to go down and stay ergonomic. So we're going to turn that nozzle. I'm just going to use medium airflow right now, just mainly for sound, but high heat. And especially with our light ionic blow dryer, this does not produce crazy heat that's going to burn your client. So you can be very close to the scalp without hurting them. So again, remember, the paddle of the brush, or the handle of the brush, goes parallel with the grain, open, teeth, close, and that nozzle follows in right behind it. So the first portion of our wrap dry is going to primarily be focused on that first few inches of hair. So I'm keeping the brush connected with the surface of the head and moving around the head. So you're using the head almost like a big roller here. Then as we get to the other side of the crown, and notice how slow I'm going, we're going to reverse. So now the handle of the brush is going parallel with the grain of the head here. It's going to open, teeth, close. I'm standing in a little bit of an awkward position. I'd stand more in front of my work, but that's going to block your view. So I'm standing over here, mainly just so you can see what's happening. So it's always grain, open, teeth, close. Grain, open, teeth, close. And following right behind the brush with the airflow. And even the direction of the airflow is really important, guys, because if the air is kind of skimming into the brush this way, if it's too flat with the brush this way, the heat and the airflow is not traveling into the hair. But if the blow dryer is facing directly into the scalp, it's going to blow the hair everywhere and you're going to get a big fuzzy mess. So these little tiny details make the wrap dry really effective. So you can see now which way is that diagonal going. It's going across the head. So this is if we want to keep volume minimal. If we want to get more fullness and volume, easy. Take your diagonal up and over the head. So we're going to call this volume wrapping. So instead of flat wrapping, now we're volume wrapping. But the exact same rules apply. So you can see the hair's on a diagonal. So the brush comes in, grain, open, teeth, close. And then move the nozzle so that you don't have to pick your elbow up and put strain on your body. High heat, medium airflow. And we take that and move that up and across the head. So this now is going to build more lift and fullness into the hair because we're using elevation up and across the head. And then once that's set up diagonally across the other way, we're going to switch and we're going to come back the opposite direction. Pretty simple, right? Now, the one area we rarely want volume is down here in the nape area. And one of the things that you can do here in the nape area is you can have your guest tilt their head down. So by tilting the head down, what that does is it allows us to get inside the nape area, plus it allows us to take this crown area that we just blow dried and push it up and over top of the head so it's hanging forward. Now look what that does, it allows me to access all of that nape area so you don't have to struggle with all this hair above. So again, you're going to take your brush, set up in a diagonal. The brush comes in parallel with the grain, open, set up your nozzle, open, teeth, close. So down here through the nape, most of the time we're looking to keep it pretty skinny. So we'll keep it really pressed into the neckline there. And again, I'm going to put my body in a little bit of a weird position just so you can keep that visual. Just work it back and forth. Now, if you're going to be working with challenging textures of hair, that's where the Artist Series paddle is going to come in. And the main difference, the technique's going to stay the same, but that introduction of the boar hair bristle gives you some tension. You can see it really grabs into the hair and it super polishes the cuticle. It's pretty amazing, even on my wife's hair. She's half Thai and half French, and she has fairly frizzy texture. I can wrap dry her hair most of the way smooth with the paddle brush. And if you need just a little bit more kick to it, you can always switch to the Artist Series blow dryer, which does have higher heat and higher airflow to it, so that you can really polish out even really difficult textures of hair. So then once you get that interior blow dried, and you can start to see you're getting a really nice polish and shine there. Then you move to the sides, and you should be pretty close to finished. You just have a little work left on the top. Here's the great thing about doing a really thorough job with your wrap drying. If you do a great job wrap drying, then everything from the base into the mid strands should be pretty good. Then from the mid strands to the ends, that's what you have to finish up and focus on. That's where you can grab your round brush or your styling brush, start to put some bend and movement to the hair, and create a different type of finish to the ends. The challenge is to not feel like you have to take that brush and go all the way back to the base, because that's where people waste a lot of time in their blow dries. Is if this is done, don't then pick up your brush and come back all the way into the base, because now I'm going to be blow drying hair that's already been blow dried smooth. So you can start your blow dry out here actually. Pretty cool, right? The other great thing about a wrap dry is that this is something that our guests can actually replicate. And one of the things that we feel is very, very important when we're teaching guests how to blow dry is that it's something that they can actually replicate at home. If we go through and we do an incredibly complicated round brush blow dry that they can never do, we're going to continue to get that response of, I can never get my hair to look as good as you. And that's not necessarily a compliment. That's more of telling us, hey, we didn't do a great job getting them the right products, the right tools, and the right education to be able to replicate the look at home. So again, when you're looking at your wrap dries, product is always incredibly important, but also think about the tools that you're using. Is it going to be a high tension tool or a lower tension tool? And that's based on the needs of the hair. Then think about, where's the first place in your blow dry that you need to get to? Is it the fringe? Is it the crown? Or maybe on a shorter haircut, maybe it's actually the neckline area. So think about that and set up the blow dry that way. Then work in a very orderly fashion, because honestly, a lot of times what we see with these wrap dries is people just kind of doing this. And if you do that kind of wrap dry, the challenge is that you're never getting inside. You're never getting to the scalp interior. So by working very orderly, setting it up on a diagonal, and doing that motion of peeling section by section down with the teeth of your brush, you are going to have much more access to the interior and get a much more thorough blow dry. So if you have any additional questions on wrap drying of any sort, let us know, leave us a comment, and we'll try and get back to you. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Andrew Carruthers, Education Director for Sam Villa.